So welcome back, everyone, to the Intent Builder podcast. We have a very special episode today. I actually got put in touch with the man, the myth, the legend, Professor Charlie, who one of my friends. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Charlie. Been in the game a little over a decade. A lot of folks know me from Disruptor School or such places as the internet. And our mutual friend Albert was actually in this room maybe a month ago. We were hanging out and we got put together here, and I'm stoked to chat about some stuff. Done a little over $1 billion in revenue from Facebook ads driven. Been in the game basically since the beginning. I was spending $1 million a day before there was a pixel. And I will say very easily that I don't think it has not been this easy to operate Facebook and make money since the day I started. And I will say that confidently with just all of the enthusiasm in the world. So if you don't necessarily feel that way, let's change that, because you absolutely deserve to be successful. And if you don't feel like you're there, it's just a few things we got to change. And I'm stoked to make that easy for everybody to get to.
That's a very strong intro. I think couldn't be of a better hook to start this this podcast with. So with that said, a lot of you watching this video might be familiar with my channel or potentially Charlie's. If you're familiar with Charlie, you already know about the 322 method. I've recently started talking about it. We started implementing it thanks to Albert actually earlier this year. And it's been working great. Honestly, it's been working amazingly well. And I'd love for you to touch briefly on how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, I came up with the 322 method several years ago. So originally it stemmed from me working with Facebook to help put together dynamic creative. So I was in the introductory tests for the dynamic creative ad products. And the 322 method comes out of how to leverage the scientific method as well as a machine learning environment to answer very specific questions with a binary pass or fail. It's really where it all comes from. A computer scientist, basically, and a data analytics person moving into machine learning to make money. That's where it really comes from. So I've been using it for about that long, and I can confidently say that over the last 2 years total, I don't think I have managed a single ad account where that wasn't the absolute beginning for step number one to anything that was done inside of that ad account. And I don't have a single ad account that I've touched in over 2 years where that isn't being used at all. So it is the single simplest, most basic building block of any ad account that I've been operating for multiple years now.
Interesting. And the comment that I get the most often is we work with a lot of fashion brands. And I think also big part of my audience is fashion brand owners. And a lot of the time they're asking me like, I don't have a USP. I don't have this crazy mechanism. So we'll go and broad work for me. And I know you have a fashion store actually, Charlie. So I'd be curious for you to, how does that structure work for a fashion brand?
Yeah. I would ask anybody, do they have enough money to confidently misuse a product that they're spending a lot on? Folks say, well, I don't know, I have a very niche product. So what I want to do is pay extra so that the vast majority of people who want to see my content won't see it. That's the strategy if you're not using broad. Let's say you're using a lookalike. Let's say it's a 1% lookalike. That's a 99% exclusion. They say, well, but the 1% lookalike is based off of Facebook's data, my buyer's information. So let me ask you a question. Do you trust Facebook's data? Do you have a super high confidence that they know exactly what they're doing and they're targeting all the right people at all the right time and the attribution's 100%? Because if so, okay. Yeah. I haven't had somebody say yes to that in years. So they say, oh, but we use interest groups. Okay. Do you know how an interest group works? Most of the time, the answer is, well, people want to buy something in that, or they're interested in that. Or they, like, no, that's not true. Interest groups were developed by Facebook about a decade ago as their alternative to affinity audiences to get Google advertisers to feel comfortable using the Facebook platform. The interest group tech team at Facebook was disbanded about 5 years ago. There's not a developer like working on interest groups. It's a download access to the internet. Now, 1/3 of the people in an interest group, back when it was being managed, 1 out of 3 people in an interest group were there just by mistake. So it's not perfect. 1/3 of the people there by mistake. So let's remove 1/3 of the people from that interest group. Generally speaking, people talk as often or more about things that they don't feel positively about. Like if you don't like something, if you go to a restaurant and you have a bad time, you're more likely to tell people that restaurant sucks than, oh, I went to a restaurant and it was okay.
Yeah.
You might talk about how you dislike something just as much as you do when you like it. You'll notice that during elections or times with a sporting events or where something's in the news, where somebody has an opinion, if you talk about that subject, you're often targeted by ads that are positive towards the side that you don't necessarily agree with, or the politician you don't like, or the sports team that you're not a fan of, etc. The point is, you're in an interest group because you're talking about that subject, not because you have positive or negative sentiment. So let's say half the people there have negative sentiment. So out of the interest group, 1/3 is there by mistake. Another 1/3 is there because they don't like something. The last 1/3 is there because Facebook has identified that this person likes something and that they're currently talking about it. How many things do you like that you're currently talking about that you're ready to spend money on today? 1%?
Yeah.
5% maybe? So if it's a 1 million person interest group, your actual potential customers might be 10,000, 20,000 people. And you're paying extra to exclude the vast majority of individuals who would be interested, but just having given that signal of talking about something overtly, or Facebook just makes the mistake. So they're not necessarily in that group. And what's more important is, in 2018, Facebook changed the way targeting operates. So you used to need targeting audiences because ads were shown randomly to anybody inside of that audience.
Yeah.
Here's a group of moms. Show this ad to all moms and hopefully you get a sale. Which made sense when you're coming from Google Display or from an email or you're buying programmatic.
Right.
Totally makes sense. I want to get 1 million impressions from CNN.com or MTV or whatever it is, right? TMZ, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
In 2018, Facebook shifted over to a different way of operating where they place the priority on the end user experience. So you see content, not because you're following all the pages, not because those are all your friends. How much content do you see in your Instagram feed? Do you see every single one of your friends in chronological order? No. Do you see every page you follow? No. You're more likely to see something from somebody you've never heard from before as a suggestion than from half of the people that are on your list that you haven't even seen anything from in years, even though they use it every single day. The point is, you're shown content because it's the type of content and a fashion that you like to engage with around topics that you want to talk about. So ads are shown to people on the same algorithm of organic content.
Yeah.
So just like when you open up Instagram Reels or TikTok, you see things that are basically stuff that you want to see. It's you turn on the television, the TV's predicting what TV show you want to watch. And it's really, really good at it. The only difference between organic and paid is in paid, you're paying for the opportunity to get to put a burden into somebody's experience.
Yeah.
Most ads aren't something people are excited about. But the ads do the targeting. If your ad is a liability of Facebook's business model, it's going to be shown to less people. And the people that are likely to see your ad are the ones that want to see that content. So I don't care how niche you are. Make an ad that your target buyer would want to see, and they're likely to see it. It's not in Facebook's business model or in their best interest to show your ad to all the people that don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So if you are going to use any targeting, retargeting or lookalikes or interest groups, understand that what you're doing is, because those audiences also cost extra. And back in the day, Facebook literally used to tell you how much they were charging you extra because you're renting that data from some other third party like Datalogics, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're using targeting audiences, basically what you're doing is you're paying extra to make sure that the vast majority of people that want to see your content never see it. So you can get a few sales right away in a way that is completely not sustainable, so that you force the majority of your ads on the people that don't want to see you. So your average advertising costs skyrocket. And as a result, Facebook gets more and more expensive over the years instead of becoming cheaper and cheaper and more stable. That is the, yeah. But
interesting
answer. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a very good answer. And so are you saying that interest-based audiences, platforms like Facebook, they only look at what you talk online, but they don't necessarily look at intent or behavior? Whereas, like, let's say you purchased a product from a similar brand in the past. So what exactly is looked into when somebody's put inside of one of these interests?
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. It's not just buying intent in there for sure.
Okay.
But let me ask you this. Or let me tell you a quick story about when I was running New Balance. Not like CEO, like they were a client,
yeah.
Full transparency. I know a lot of folks out there make a lot of clients, right?
Always good to give a disclaimer.
Yeah. At the very beginning of advanced matching, which is the part of the Power 5 that is the brain for broad targeting, we were doing tests. 2/3 of our account at broad, 2/3 of our first time impression. Now there's like first time impression ratio.
Yeah.
Other like nonsense metrics that people say is important because they're not actually good at their job. 2/3 of our spend went to people that had abandoned cart at one of our competitors that week. Why? Well, we had an ad for a red sneaker, a red like trainer, right? Now, if you had gone to Nike, say you saw a Nike ad, and you went to Nike.com, interested, left. You saw a Converse ad for a red pair of trainers. Went to the website, looked at the product, added the cart, but left. Went to Saucony and to Puma. Same thing. Facebook is saying, you're interested in this content. You're clicking on these ads. You're spending time on this website. You're filing these events that are in a sales funnel. Where's somebody else that's optimizing towards this sales funnel, this content that you haven't said no to yet? Clearly you want it, but we haven't shown you the right thing. So here's something else. So as a result, our first impression was bottom funnel retargeting for all of our competitors.
Okay.
That happens every single day.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. And you talked about these metrics that some marketers kind of hide behind, and one that you've been a big advocate to not to speak against, but at least you're challenging people on Twitter sometimes about ROAS. You're saying that ROAS doesn't really matter, and you have a shirt right now that says "fuck ROAS." So very nice shirt.
Thank you.
So
that's the merch store. Yeah.
There you go. And walk us through, why do you not look at ROAS, and what instead perhaps should people look into?
Okay, well, let's try this. Let me ask you a couple of questions, and let's just take the journey.
Go for it.
What is ROAS?
Return on ad spend. So it's your purchase conversion value divided by your amount spent.
Okay, today. For the sales that are attributed.
Correct.
Based on the revenue that's tracked.
Exactly.
On that ad. Or in that campaign.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Or on that day.
Roughly.
Okay. How many sales do you think that Facebook gets taken credit for, or also being taken credit for by other channels?
There's a clear, just by using, let's say, triple wall, you can see some overlap.
Some overlap. Got it. Okay. That overlap. Okay. So we have some overlap. Second, Do you think that anybody buys on the first time they ever see an ad?
It's unlikely.
Okay, so like I saw a thing today that said, someone's giving me pushback, said 50% of our revenue comes from day one. My argument is, I think 0% of your revenue comes from day one. Maybe 0.3% comes from day one.
Okay.
Somebody might see, Brad, the average customer journey, how long do you think the customer journey is?
Wild guess, but I'd say at least days.
Okay, I would say years.
Years. Okay.
Yeah, I would go out and buy, I bought, let's for instance, I got these shoes. I got these Chuck Taylor shoes. All right?
Yeah.
The ad that I saw didn't tell me I had feet. It's not the first time I saw shoes. I've been in the market for shoes for years.
Good.
So I'm already mid-fall. I've already bought Converse a few times. I've already bought sneakers a few times. So the point of that is, let's say you don't have a product that is so new nobody's ever heard about the problem. They were never product or problem aware. You've just informed them how much worse their life is than what they thought before they saw the ad. And you're giving them a solution. It's the first time they've ever seen it, and somebody buys right then and there.
Yeah.
I'd say in that case, as long as all in the tracking is completely okay, and nobody can ever buy twice, and anybody that buys from you is never allowed to tell anybody else that you ever exist, as long as nobody's ever allowed to come back to your website more than once, and you have no organic efforts and you decided to never run search or email, then ROAS might be legitimate. Let's take this into account, though. ROAS is attributed revenue divided by ad spend, right?
Yep.
Is the revenue accurate? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not 100% accountable of all the transactions, of all the touch points. Okay. So the numerator is wrong. Bottom, the denominator is ad spend. Well, it's ad spend today, or on that ad, or in that campaign, or this week, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But what if I showed you an ad yesterday? What if I showed you an ad in a different campaign?
Yeah.
Well, then your retargeting ROAS being a 3 doesn't mean anything if it costs me $1,000 to get that ROAS of a 2 at like $20 on retargeting to get you to that point. You're out of business.
Yeah.
And so, well, they say, okay, but yeah, we're going to look at MER. So, okay, we don't care, right? It's blending ROAS all the way up. Awesome. You have an MER 3. What are you going to do tomorrow?
It's hard.
No idea.
Yeah.
Like, is that MER? Now you say I can spend more. Okay, let me ask you this. Is that MER 3? Is that all new sales? Is it returning sales? How far through the customer journey are you? How much of that revenue is a fully mature lifetime value versus net new? What about returns? What was your ad spend? How much of that was done? What was the margin on each one of those sales? Did you want to say it? Every day, the answers to those questions are going to be different. And more importantly, none of the answers to those questions are going to tell you what to do on any given platform. So my point is, ROAS is a fraction where the numerator is wrong or inaccurate.
Yeah.
And the denominator lacks context.
Sure.
And I would say data is only as valuable as it is actionable. So if the numerator is inaccurate, the denominator lacks context, and ultimately what you get is a data point that you cannot take action on. Or you might say, well, ROAS, yeah, but we have to look at these other things. Okay, why don't you just look at those other things? Why don't you look at just blended CPA? Why aren't you looking at cost of goods? Why aren't you looking at LTV? And if you are, then what good is ROAS anyway?
Yeah.
Other than to tell you how much credit I can take for everybody else's work. Because really, that's what I'm doing. Like, my Facebook ROAS can be phenomenal by just of everybody that opened up an email. And my Facebook ROAS is going to be a lot better if the CRO team crushes. My Facebook ROAS is going to be really good if my Google team is kicking ass. So it's how much credit for everybody else's work can I take in a way of misrepresenting revenue by a spend number that isn't accurate so that I can't decide on any future decision. That's ROAS.
And how do you think agencies should take action on this? Because I think we've labeled ad platforms who clearly have their own business model, and we've talked about an overlap because they all want to make sure that they attribute themselves back, because then you're going to spend more on that platform if it looks better. But I feel the problem is also at the agency level, where you also want your channel that you manage as an agency to look good. So how do you report, how do you approach this conversation as an agency or as a marketer with the brand? Or should the agency be the one bringing this up, or is it part of the brand? Or who exactly needs to have that conversation?
I think it should be the agency that is having the conversation of the way we define success is by generating incremental lift across your business and ultimately meeting your financial and business objectives. Like, I should be a marketing department of your company where when you give me money to spend on your behalf, what I do is make the finance department happy. That's my job. That should be my job. What we actually have is a situation where an ad agency or media buyer's job is to make the person that hired them look good to their boss.
Yeah, a lot of the time that's the case.
Yeah, that's your job. So you oftentimes have a company where somebody's head of marketing and that person hires an agency. That agency's job is to make the head of marketing inside the company look good to the CEO. That's generally a lot of what's going on. And if you are a founder hiring an agency, you should be able to define a business metric as something other than ROAS. And if you don't know what that is, okay, then the agency should be able to tell you what that looks like. But I think we're facing a problem where we are generations of media buyers deep of ad agencies founded in the teens by really good media buyers that had a personality and could acquire talent. Then they brought on so many clients that they got on their friends to come and join it. And they basically poorly trained, underpaid, and overworked series of like college grads to just maintain a business model based on how much credit for everybody else's work can I take so that I can push up commission on my ad spend by getting the client to spend more money. Nowhere in there is the business objective actually success for the client. And I've even faced issues of ad agencies like, no, our biggest goal is client success. And when the client's successful, our ad spend goes up. Like, well, that's true, but you're reporting your success as ROAS, which is basically you're saying that you're successful because of all the work of everybody else, which I agree with. But you're not measuring your success on how you're helping everyone. You're measuring your success by how much credit for their work can you take. So instead, we need to be looking at actual real business metrics. Like, for instance, if you ever watch Dragon's Den or Shark Tank and had anybody on the panel say, what's your ROAS? Not once. I watched literally every episode of Shark Tank. I've watched every episode of Dragon's Den. Like, I've binged it. I've watched hundreds of hours of these shows. Not once. Not once did anybody ever get a deal because of that. What do they ask? What's your customer acquisition cost? What's your lifetime value? And to be fair, I think in the world of digital marketing, that's a very simple way of looking at it. I do think that's true. But in the world of digital marketing, I'm even less concerned about customer acquisition costs because I think that's also a misnomer. I'm concerned about what is the cost to acquire revenue? How many times does the average person give you money? And what is their overall value? So for instance, if I know the average customer buys 3 times and my blended CPA across my business is $40 and my LTV is $240, I know that basically I'm 2 to 1 on acquisition of revenue to total revenue. Bake in COGS. Let's say my product costs $20. Now I've got a margin of $60 per customer that I acquire.
Okay.
Great. So now I know my target CPA could be higher. I can spend 50% more to acquire any transaction in that customer journey. That is me understanding the business metrics like a finance person.
And I'm
instead of
hearing it. Let's go for it. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go for it.
I was going to say, I'm already hearing the first-time founders talking to me about cash flow. Yeah, but I don't have the money. I can't afford to not be profitable right now and wait until hopefully a customer makes me money in 6 months. So what do you respond to cash flow?
Well, your LTV. What's your LTV? They say, well, I don't have LTV. I only have one sale. Great. That's your LTV.
Okay.
Man, if your LTV is one sale, okay, that's your LTV.
And should ads play only an acquisition role, or what do you also see ads in bringing people back?
I see ads as being full funnel.
Okay.
For two reasons. One, it's way more expensive to exclude people from buying again. Like for me to go in and say, never touch any of these people that ever bought. That costs money. Also, why not go after that money? You might say, well, I made a sale. I've already acquired that customer. What if it costs you $10 to get somebody to buy a second time and $50 to get them acquired for the first time? And they're worth $60 every transaction. Let's say 5% of people would buy on their own. But if you ran ads, 20% would buy a second time. Which one of those is better for cash flow? Getting people to buy a second time.
Yeah.
What if have those people buy a third time that bought a second? What if instead of trying to run your business with a preconceived notion that my customers will only ever buy once, or that my marketing after the sale is so good that I don't even need to worry about, that I'm willing to pay more money, I'm willing to invest my assets with a worse exchange rate on my investment. I want to pay more, I want to be more difficult in a way that not only is less cost efficient, but also starves the machine learning from seeing more data points. Like if I could get 20% more purchase conversion data into the platform by getting more sales for cheaper, the machine's going to get smarter faster. And I'm going to have much better cash flow. Because likely that second, third, fourth purchase is going to happen at a lower cost than the first purchase. So my margin per transaction improves. And I have a higher volume of conversion. And the machine is seeing a higher volume of conversion data. Sure. So it doesn't make any sense to me that somebody be like, I don't want to target any existing customers with ads. I think that comes from a place of being taught poorly how things work, or you have to be so belligerently confident of your second purchase rate that it doesn't matter. Hey, look, if 98% of people that buy from you once buy a second time, exclude previous buyers. Go for it.
Yeah.
But like, say you get 10 sales a week. Say you get 10 sales a day. You get 10 sales a day. Each month, that's 300 people.
Yeah.
How much money do you think you're wasting, quote unquote, by targeting 300 people a day with your ads? Let's say your CPM is $20 and you spend $500 a day. Maybe you spent $30, $40 on somebody that could have potentially bought anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a drop in the bucket. Realistically, it's like $10, $15, because also if they don't want to see your ads, Facebook's not going to show it to them. Right? If the people that just bought from you don't like seeing your content, they're not going to see it.
And that kind of brings me in two different directions that I'd like to take this conversation into. The first one being, and I'm talking from personal experience, speaking to founders who have this new collection or have this new product type or this new variant, and they absolutely want to get sales for that variant, but they're trying to crack product market fit, essentially, is where I'm going with this. How can I frame that question? I'm trying to find the best way to frame that question, but testing a new product with ads, with that method that we're talking about, how do you make the split between the problem being at the ad level or actually being deeper?
I would say that's a strategy issue. That's a really bad idea. Like, yeah. The concept, the business strategy of saying, I want to take ad dollars. The business strategy of saying, I want to take Facebook, a business model amplification device, to go out and test new business models. Doesn't make any sense.
Okay. And what solution would you offer for that?
If you want to test products, great. Use organic social.
Okay.
Use email. Use search. Use search. Go into search campaigns, bunch up all your keyword stuff. See what people gets their attention. Make some sales. Talk to those customers. Do transaction surveys. Like, see what people have to say about the product. Use their words and their feedback and their, UGC or whatever it is that they give you. Figure out something that works and then take Facebook to amplify that business. But saying that you're going to use an historically terrible exchange rate investment to then test new business ideas is objectively very poor financial management. Like,
it's going to be a wake-up call for a lot of people watching this.
Yeah, I cannot think of a legitimate reason to do that. The only situation where this might work, and I've done to call a caveat to it, is with catalog ads. DPA, dynamic product ads. Show somebody your entire catalog. Then go into it and it break down in the breakdown section, and then in delivery, the very bottom of delivery, you'll see by product ID. And you'll see when I show somebody my entire catalog, say it's a paper catalog, what page stops them? What product are they actually interested in? Where's all the ad spend going? Where are all the clicks happening?
Yeah.
At least then I kind of have an idea, but the honest truth is, if that's not lining up with sales data inside my store, then, but still, you're still doing product research in a way that your cash register should tell you in your inventory. Like, your fulfillment, your finance team should know that answer.
Yep. Or going back to earlier, I said there was two ways to go about this. The second completely different way I'd like to tally back on the conversation we were having earlier is what do you do with first order profit? You talk a lot about LTV, which seems to be more of a long-term play, but shouldn't a founder's goal be to make profit on that first order, or are you trying to make them profit 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the line?
I think it depends on where you are in your business.
Sure.
Like I said, your LTV could 100% be one sale. That could absolutely be it.
Yep.
Now, if you have a business that isn't scaling and you have cash flow and inventory issues, and you say, I'm willing to make the bet on Facebook to amplify my business, it would be unrealistic for you to say, I have something that I'm unsure about that's a little unstable. I'm going to crank up the volume of this.
Yeah.
And you have confidence that the outcome is going to be something that's net positive for you.
Yeah. Taking a big bet.
Yeah. Running Facebook ads is not step one. Running Facebook ads is, I know something that works. What I'm going to do is bring this to the masses. Or you say, I'm willing to take that bet because I've got money in the bank that I'm willing to invest in seeing if this works.
Yeah. So either you're willing to take the risk, or you invest into, as you said earlier, organic search, etc., to first validate your hypothesis.
Yeah. Like, think of it like this. An ideal situation. You pay for your Facebook ads out of the profit margin of your business.
Yep.
Simple. And if you don't have a profit margin in your business, you pay for Facebook ads as an investment in your future. Now, investments very rarely are profitable on day one.
Indeed. Compound interest.
So, yeah. If you were to go to a business, if you were to go to a bank and get a business loan and said, I'm going to be profitable in 30 days, you're going to get laughed out of the bank.
Yeah.
There's literally no difference. So don't spend money you can't afford to lose. Spend that money on something that you already know how to win at, or have the ability to lose for long enough to figure it out. Otherwise, you're just pulling lottery tickets. And when you fail, it'll be your fault.
That makes sense. And what are your thoughts on these obviously right now it's kind of gone down a little bit, but I still often see questions in the comments or calls being booked with drop shippers or people who are kind of the fast money, the fast turnaround, low LTV, and their whole business model revolves around making money today and making ads work at all costs. What do you think about such a business model? What do you think about the longevity of such a business?
I think you can have a great business doing that. I think you just have to run it like a business. I've done a lot of drop shipping stuff. You can't, the thing is, having a product is very different than having a brand. If you weren't drop shipping, that's fine. But drop ship a product where you can vertically integrate the next product.
Okay.
So like I did a store once like Squishy Cats. I was like a Squishy Cat cell phone case, and then a Squishy Cat like phone thing, and I put a Squishy Cat like, you know, like thing on your desk. The point is, if you bought one, I could use my email to make the second sale on a different product. And I could use that revenue to ultimately build a brand. There's nothing wrong with drop shipping, but drop shipping a single product in a way where you're not able to leverage your CRM list or vertically integrate your customer base is stupid.
Okay.
Like I'll just say that. It's an absolute waste. And again, it's one of those things like when you fail, it will be your fault. And I think my biggest problem is that most people haven't been taught that.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I make content every single day.
It's a good one. And talking about that, if you had kind of one main lesson from this talk that we've had together, just from your years also in this sphere, what would it be for a first-time founder building an e-commerce brand? What would it be?
I would say, like, if I could break it down, there are three things I would love everybody to walk away with, and this is the lesson. Number one, know your numbers. Most importantly, and again, let's if you're running on Facebook, so let's focus on this. Know your numbers.
Yeah.
What numbers actually matter? Lifetime value, cost of goods, cost for the acquisition of a transaction, and average transactions for a customer journey. Know those four numbers.
Yeah.
My customers were $200. They buy twice. Average, sales cost about $40. My COGS is 10. Awesome. I know my profit margin per customer journey. Great. So now I know every time I get a new customer how much they're worth. Maybe it's one sale. Okay. Number two is understand how your business makes money. So many people don't know the answer to that, which is terrifying. But they say, well, I run ads to make money. Like, well, you run ads to make sales, but maybe that makes you money, maybe it doesn't. Like, what is the core of how your brand works? How do you fit into the marketplace? What do customers think about your product? Why are they buying from you versus somebody else? How does your system operate? I run Facebook, I run search, I run email. 10% of my customers come back again and 2% return. Okay, that's a much better answer than I run Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Right? Know how you make money. And the third thing I would say is prioritize. Like, you don't need to be good at everything, but you need 3 of the following 7 things. Prioritize getting good at 3 of the following 7. That's all you need. 1 of the first 3, 1 or 2 of the first 3, and then 1 or 2 of the following 4. Email, search, social. Get good at least 1 of those or 2 of them.
Sure.
And then there are 4 nuances to these 3 core principles. One is being an econometrician, understanding the unit value of money, right? Like how your business works. Understand that. That's one thing that can help you. You don't necessarily need it. There are plenty of people that are successful that do not understand that, and that's totally fine. Second thing would be storytelling. Get really, really good at storytelling. You can be really good at email, really good at Facebook, and a really good storyteller, and you're going to crush. You can be really good at Facebook ads and search and Google and be a really good econometrician. You're going to crush. Another nuance would be operations. Understand how to put a business together in a way that, like, understand where the waste is, how you make the things work, and what you need to do. Like, for instance, I'm an investor in OpV, and one of the things OpV is doing is they know that, to be fair, they have a high return rate on selling the products, and what we're doing is going to Walmart.
Yep.
If you have a problem in the D2C space, overcome that with volume in retail. That's an operations solution.
Interesting.
And then the last one is psychology, consumer psychology. And so if you can get good at one of the three primary commodity skills of email, search, and paid social, and then be good at the nuances of economics, storytelling, operations, or psychology. You only need 3 of these 7 things, and you can make an 8-figure business. But if you don't have at least 3 of these 7 things, you're going to fail. That probably represents 98% of the businesses that I've ever met. And honestly, I don't know too many businesses that have more than 4 or 5 of those things down. I don't know anybody that's been all that. And you don't need to. But so I know it's a very long-winded lesson, but the point is getting good at the acquisition of attention and the monetization of it. And then economic storytelling, operations, psychology is what happens when you have a customer and when you have cash flow. Figure any of those things out and you're gold. Otherwise, you're immediately replaceable and ultimately a liability to the bank.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for this time today. If people want to find you on socials, where can they follow your journey and learn more from you, Matt?
Yeah, you can find me at CT The Disruptor or go to Disruptor School or at Disruptor School. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. I got YouTube channels. I got multiple channels on all of those different things. Find me in any one of those places and please feel free to ask me questions. You can go to Disruptor School. I've got the Disruptor School program, which is a nice little community. I got the Facebook Ads MBA program, which is a really high-end thing. And my biggest focus is I've been in the game for a decade. I've done over 10 figures in revenue for other brands. I'm currently about to join my 6th brand in the last 5 years that I've done it 5 times. Hopefully it's been over 6, where I've taken it from a 6 or 7 figure business to come to an 8 or 9 figure exit. I've done that 5 times in the last 5 years. I'm about to add my 6th. There's a process to this. And if you don't necessarily agree with anything I had to say today, please ask. If somebody that you listen to disagrees with something that I said today and you challenge them on and they don't have a good answer, that's a red flag. And if they insist that things like ROAS matters, fire them immediately. Because what they're doing is ultimately setting you up for failure. And it might either be they don't know any better.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. They just don't know any better, in which case you shouldn't trust them with your money because you're more advanced than they are. Or B, they do know better and they're lying to you anyway. In which case, they're assholes that aren't going to help you.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion, for what it's worth. As somebody that sees people that have suffered under those individuals day in, day out for years now. Yeah, that's my best piece of advice. And how you can find me on socials.
Yeah. So guys, everybody watching this, check him out. Check Charlie. He's got an amazing YouTube channel. I personally got a lot of value from it over the last few years, actually, at this point. And on that note, make sure you check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips, and see you guys soon.